Hey everybody, it is Kevin DeSilva here with the Living in Los Angeles channel, and today we're touring Manhattan Beach. Manhattan Beach is one of the premier beach cities of Los Angeles County. It's one of the most expensive areas in Los Angeles County, and it is the most, if not the second most expensive area in all of the South Bay. Now, for those of you who do not know, the South Bay is an area generally south of LAX Airport. It does extend all the way east to Compton and goes all the way south to San Pedro. That said, the beach cities are Manhattan Beach, Hermosa Beach, and Redondo Beach. Let's take a look at what makes Manhattan Beach so special, what home prices look like in the area, and what schools and restaurants you can visit. Here at the Living Los Angeles channel, our mission is to help you make better decisions with your home and your living situation. We'll explore different neighborhoods and we'll explore what makes each neighborhood great and what to look out for. And as always, hit the subscribe button, turn on your notifications so that you're the first to see anytime we publish one of these videos so that you can start implementing the newest, coolest things in your life and in your housing situation. So today we are exploring Manhattan Beach, and let's go ahead and turn this computer around so that we can take a look. All right, Manhattan Beach, like I said, is a city of the South Bay. The South Bay is this area here south of LAX Airport, and generally speaking, west of the 710 freeway. And it does include everything from Carson and San Pedro, but the premier areas that everybody really thinks of when they think of the South Bay is the Palos Verdes, Redondo Beach, Hermosa Beach, and Manhattan Beach. Now, El Segundo is on the rise, and we will cover this on a later episode, but today we are focusing on the one, I wouldn't actually say the one and only. There is a Manhattan Beach in New York, but this one is the most famous Manhattan Beach. In fact, the pier has been featured in numerous videos, including Starsky and Hutch. This is the Manhattan Beach Pier, as you can see right here. There's a roundhouse at the end of the pier. It's an amazing place. It's a huge tourist attraction, but let's focus on the neighborhoods. Let's focus on what there is to do and what makes it so special for everybody who lives there and for everybody who visits. So let's break down Manhattan Beach. Manhattan Beach is a composite of 6 larger areas, all within the city boundaries. It is its own municipality, has its own police force, its own fire department, its own city hall, its own building department. It even provides its own water, has its own water district. That said, the 6 areas are the sand section, the tree section, the hill section, East Manhattan, which is generally known as the Mira Costa section, Liberty Village and Manhattan Heights, that's one section, and the Manhattan Village area. So those are the 6 main sections of Manhattan Beach. Let's turn this around and take a look and dive into the property values in each area and what's hot and trending in each area. The sand section is the most expensive area of Manhattan Beach. It is not only the most expensive because it has the highest sales price, but it actually has the highest price per square foot. So the home itself costs more than homes in other areas. So homes of the same size are more expensive. That said, the reason why it is so expensive, let's switch this around here real quick, is because of its proximity to the beach. Manhattan Beach has one of the best beaches in all of Los Angeles County. The beaches in Manhattan Beach are very well maintained. They are supervised by Los Angeles County lifeguards, and they are policed by the Manhattan Beach Police Department. Manhattan Beach Police is a very well-funded police department in comparison to how many constituents it oversees, but it does receive many visitors throughout the year. It is a huge tourist destination for people from all over the world. In fact, as I mentioned earlier, the Manhattan Beach Pier has been featured in multiple different movies. That said, the sand section itself is the composite of 4 different neighborhoods. You do have South Manhattan down here. You have the area generally around downtown Manhattan. You have North Manhattan, which extends all the way up to about Rosecrans. These lines aren't concrete, by the way. Depends on who you ask and where. And then you have the El Porto section. The El Porto section does have the best surf and the most parking. I frequently do go to the beach here because of that. That said, there are numerous parking lots throughout Manhattan Beach. However, the South Manhattan section typically has the least favorable parking situation. On a busy summer day, you will frequently park back here and have to hike to the beach. That said, the most expensive home ever to sell in Manhattan Beach recently sold on the Strand. The Strand is the name of the walking path that borders the front of the homes along the beach. This home here sold this year for $24.5 million. This particular property is an amazing home. It held the previous record when it sold for $21 million. It's on the corner of 18th Street and the Strand. Keep in mind, behind the Strand is Ocean Drive, but nobody refers to it by the street name. They refer to it by the walking street in the front of it. That said, as you can see, this home has amazing views of Palos Verdes and Catalina, not to mention the beach and the pier, which is the quintessential view of Manhattan Beach, being able to see the coastline through to Palos Verdes, and that's what makes this home so special. During the wintertime, this area lights up, and you will frequently see that the pier has a Christmas tree lighting orientation on top of it, and lights running down the entire thing. So not only is it great to look at in the summer, but it's also great to look at in the winter. Let's talk about the schools in the Sand section. So the Sand section doesn't really have its own priority on schools like some of the other neighborhoods. These schools in the Sand section are split up between two different schools. You have Grandview Elementary School and Robinson Elementary School. Robinson Elementary School came in, let me see, I'm going to date myself here. Came in my 6th grade year. It was a retired elementary school that they brought back to life because they had too many kids in Manhattan Beach that were being serviced by the other. Pacific Elementary School actually used to service the Hill section. When they did this, they also changed it up. When we first moved to Manhattan Beach, we lived here on Pine, and my sister went to Grandview Elementary School. When they opened up Robinson and moved the Hill section and the South Sand section to Robinson Elementary School, they opened up this area. As you can see, Grandview services one of the largest areas of schools, and the Sand section is broken up into two school services: Robinson Elementary School and Grandview Elementary School, two of the best schools in all of Manhattan Beach. But most people, when they move to Manhattan Beach, really have a priority on Pacific Elementary School. It is considered the best elementary school in Manhattan Beach. And that's not just because I went there. It's because of the scores that people give it. This video would be too long if I went through all the different restaurants that the Sand section has, but I'm just going to cover a few real quick. As you can see, there are numerous restaurants in downtown Manhattan by itself. And one of the best restaurants, this is actually my wife and my favorite restaurant, not just because they have great food, not just because they have great ambiance, but also because they have the best view of the ocean of any of the restaurants in Manhattan Beach. This is the Strand House. The Strand House is really good. The service is amazing. The ambiance is amazing. They make great cocktails, drinks, and definitely make sure to make a reservation. They do take reservations, by the way, but make sure to make a reservation because this place books up well in advance. So you're going to want to book your spot at least a week out when you're staying here. That said, some of the other restaurants in the Sand section, one of my favorites, all-time favorites for its ambiance, is a little restaurant, a Mexican restaurant on the border of North Manhattan and El Porto. But this one is called Ponchos. Ponchos is one of the best ambiance. The Mexican food is a little Americanized. However, their salsa is amazing. The Sand section is blessed with numerous great restaurants. Obviously, when you have tourists coming to the beach, they want to go closer to the beach. So it makes no surprise. There's just a high demand. But Ponchos is an amazing. The ambiance inside is second to none. As you can see, you actually sit as if you are in a hacienda, like you're outside. You can see the trees and the light, and there's a water fountain. It looks like you are sitting on the outside of a building when actually you're inside a building, inside a restaurant. So absolutely amazing. One of the oldest restaurants in Manhattan Beach. And I'm going to switch over to my favorite sushi restaurant. I must say, because there are a number of sushi restaurants in the sand section and throughout Manhattan Beach. My favorite is Sakaya by Katsuya. Katsuya does have numerous sushi restaurants throughout the LA area. It is a very popular brand, but I have to say that we love this restaurant because we feel, not just feel, it's the best bang for your buck. You can go to another sushi restaurant and you feel like you're getting gouged and you don't really enjoy your experience when you get the bill. However, this restaurant has amazing fish, amazing specials, and doesn't break the bank nearly as much as other restaurants. It isn't necessarily cheap by any measure. Sushi in Los Angeles isn't cheap, and if it was, you probably wouldn't want it too cheap, and you're starting to question the quality of the fish. But this restaurant is absolutely amazing. This is the former Octopus. Next, we're going to talk about the Hill section. Now, the Hill section is the second most expensive area of Manhattan Beach. On average, this area has the largest homes, and it has to do with the lot size. This area also has on average, the largest lot size of any other area in Manhattan Beach. The Hill section also has some of the best views, which sits up on a hill. And when you're on the right side of it, you see the ocean and you can see the entire coastline out to Palos Verdes and Catalina. On the other side, though, it is not shabby. On the back side of the hill section, I do appreciate it because you can see SoFi and downtown Los Angeles. So I'm going to turn this camera around and let's take a look at some of the homes that have sold. So this is the hill section. And as I mentioned earlier, the hill section is serviced by Robinson Elementary School. It sits between Manhattan Beach Boulevard, Hermosa Beach, or Longfellow, west of PCH, or as we call it in Manhattan Beach, Sepulveda. That might change at some point in the future. We'll see, because Hermosa Beach calls the same street PCH, and recently El Segundo has renamed the same street into PCH. So this street is only called Sepulveda now in this section, or north of El Segundo. That said, the hill section is the second most expensive area, and as I mentioned, the highest sale so far this year was $14.9 million of a 9,278 square foot home on a double lot, 11,996 square feet. The hill section homes are amazing. They're ginormous. They are on average bigger than anywhere else in Manhattan Beach. And they are really good. So when you're on this side, smaller home, obviously, you can have these ocean views that look out towards Palos Verdes. You don't really see it, but if looking this way, you do see Palos Verdes, and out here to the left is Catalina. And one last thing about the hill section. The hill section is great because not only is it easy to get in and out of, but it's actually walkable to downtown Manhattan. You see, the sand section is walkable mostly to downtown Manhattan, but if you're in North Manhattan or El Porto, you're walkable to all the restaurants and shops around El Porto. There's a huge section of North Manhattan which doesn't have many shops at all, and then you get down to around the pier and South Manhattan where you tend to have more shops. So one of the great things about the hill section is its walkability to downtown Manhattan, different restaurants, different shops. But I'm going to highlight today some of the restaurants that you can walk to that are right next to you in Manhattan Beach. Here in the hill section, you do have a sushi restaurant called Osho. It is a great traditional Japanese sushi restaurant, really traditional dishes. They have great lunch specials as well, and the staff are amazing. I recently just tried Ali's Hawaiian grill, and I gotta say, my wife and I were very impressed with their poke. Um, as you can see, they're a newer restaurant, but they already have 48 reviews and they're 4.3 stars. The owner was in there when I was there. He's a native of Hawaii who moved here to California, and I gotta say, he really brings the Hawaiian culture and love into his food. In fact, his sauces are still made by his brother who's still in Hawaii. So, I mean, it's really authentic Hawaiian food. I highly recommend it. And we do love Thai dishes and India's tandoori. Now, these two restaurants are almost right across the street from each other. In fact, the Hawaiian restaurant I just mentioned is next door to India's tandoori. You can walk there. You might have to cross at 8th Street, or you can get in your car and just cross Sepulveda to get there. But Thai Dishes is one of our favorite Thai restaurants in all of Los Angeles. It's really good, and I'm a huge fan of their soup. So even though you're in the hill section and you're away from the beach, you get a lot more privacy. The parking's better. In general, there are fewer people walking by your house because there are fewer tourists, and you can walk either to downtown Manhattan, or if you want to get away and be a little more quiet, you can go to these restaurants here on Sepulveda. So now, so we talked about the most expensive area of Manhattan Beach and the second most. So what's the third most expensive area of Manhattan Beach? Well, let's take a look at the tree section. Now, I did grow up in the tree section. I am a little biased towards the area. The tree section is quite diverse in that it is actually serviced by two different elementary schools. There are really 4 quadrants of the tree section, which are somewhat distinct in and of themselves. In fact, growing up as a kid, I mainly played with the other kids in my own quadrant, which is kind of interesting, but also not surprising because the schools are broken down in the area. So let me flip this camera around and let's take a look at one of the most desirable areas of Manhattan Beach. All right, so we are checking out the tree section, and let's talk about the 4 quadrants. So as I mentioned, the tree section is broken into 2 different elementary school sections. You have the north side of the tree section, which goes to Grandview, and now the southwest, southeast, and northeast sections of the tree section go to Pacific Elementary School. Like I said, this changed after Robinson Elementary School was reopened so that they could ease the amount of pressure that was on each school to service all the students. That said, let's take a look at everything. So there are 4 main quadrants. Really, Pacific Avenue divides up the west and east half of the 2, and then Valley and Ardmore separates the north and south parts. That said, the northwestern part of the tree section, which goes to Grandview, this section right here is the gas lamp section. These have some of the most expensive homes in all of the tree section, but so does the area that is generally west of Pacific Elementary School and around there are 2 private schools in Manhattan Beach, which I will cover on a different one. But one of the oldest private schools in Manhattan Beach is American Martyrs, and that sits right here. American Martyrs Church is a Catholic church right here, and the school is right there. That said, in the last 12 months, the highest sale has actually taken place in this section. It is very private. One of the best parts about this area is it's very close to the Manhattan Beach Old Hometown Fair, and it's walking distance to downtown Manhattan. I grew up over here on 23rd and Poinsettia, and I could say we used to walk down to the beach all the time. We did not have electric scooters back in the days. I was talking about how we had a moped at one time, but there was no putting a surfboard on the back. That said, it is very well known that this area of Manhattan Beach, this section right here, closest to the sand section, and this section right here, closest to Sand Dune Park, have some of the most expensive sales in all of the tree section. And as you can see, 8.1 million, holding it down, 7.5 on the west side of American Martyrs. the hill actually slopes down and you get an amazing view, just as if you were one of the hill section homes. So as far as the restaurants go, the tree section does not have an abundance or access to many restaurants. In fact, one of the only restaurants in all of the tree section is Yanagi Kitchen. It is a Japanese sushi to-go location. It is right across the street from the Manhattan Beach Mall. Other than that, most of the other restaurants are all on the other side of the street. That said, there are some really good pizza places like Fresh Brothers. Unfortunately, Rubio's went out, but Fresh Brothers Pizza and the Manhattan Beach Bread and Bagel Company is amazing. They have all different types of flavors, all different types of cream cheese. Is really good if you want to start your Saturday off with a bang. All right, so we are through all of the neighborhoods west of Sepulveda in Manhattan Beach. So we are moving east. We're going to the other side of Sepulveda to check out which neighborhoods are back there, what the schools are like, and what restaurants you might not know about that you should. So the Manhattan Village is an area of Manhattan Beach. It is actually the only gated community in all of Manhattan Beach. It was built predominantly in the 80s, and it's right behind the Manhattan Village Mall. If you watched one of my other videos, I kind of give you the breakdown. The mall came first, the community came second. Now, it's a really cool area. One of the aspects is it is guard gated. It's not the most expensive area of Manhattan Beach by any means, but it's really nice because it has pool, guard gate, so cars aren't passing through. So it is really close to the Manhattan Beach Mall. It's walking distance to numerous shops and restaurants. One of our favorite old school restaurants is Johnny Rockets, which started in Glendale, but one of the locations is in the parking lot in front of Bristol Farms. Bristol Farms, also a Los Angeles based company that is been in Manhattan Beach for years, so both of them have been right next to each other. That said, I mean, they have revitalized the entire Manhattan Beach Mall, and as you can see here, all these different restaurants. Wood Ranch just opened. It's right by our office. Joey Manhattan Beach is a very popular night spot, dinner spot, lunch spot. It's open aired, so you do actually have the ability to sit down and enjoy the outdoors. As we are in Southern California, it's an amazing thing. Tin Roof Bistro is owned by Simsies, the same owners as Simsies, the same owners of Fishing with Dynamite, Arthur J's, Simsies, and Manhattan Beach Post, all some of the top restaurants in Manhattan Beach. Urban Plates is amazing, Mercado. I mean, there's just so many restaurants that have opened up in this area that are amazing. Boa Steakhouse and Rock Sushi. That said, the elementary school for this area is Meadows Elementary School, and that's going to lead me right into my next one. So let's go over here into Manhattan Beach Heights and Liberty Village. Now, this is one of my favorite neighborhoods. I feel like it's one of the best bang for your buck neighborhoods. It's easy to get in and out of. Not all the streets go through, so the traffic is actually fairly decent compared to other areas. For instance, cars coming in from the beach tend to cut through the tree section and the sand section, so it's always very busy around rush hour traffic. Trust me, I grew up in the tree section. I know firsthand from it. But that said, over here, as you can see, the streets all zig and zag. Some of them wind. Over here, this is one of my favorite sections. Right in here, if you get it right, you actually get a really good view. You can see downtown downtown Los Angeles and the mountains. It's a really cool area. It's by Manhattan Beach Middle School, Pollywog Park, one of the quintessential parks of Manhattan Beach. There's the visitor center here, the rec park on the other side. Generally speaking, the homes in this neighborhood aren't cheap by any metric, but they are cheaper than if you were in the tree section, the sand section, or the hill section. I do feel like this is one of the best bang for your buck areas. As you can see here, 5.2 million, 4.2 million for a 3,600 square foot house. Generally speaking, this same house would be more expensive in the tree section and definitely more expensive in the hill section. And let's finish off with East Manhattan, or the Mira Costa area of Manhattan Beach. This is actually where my dad lives. I'm very familiar with the area. Having grown up here, I'm familiar with all of Manhattan Beach and Hermosa Beach and Redondo Beach. But that said, this area is really cool. Once again, when you're in the right spot, you actually can see great views. It's a very hilly terrain. And so when you're on the right slope, you can see the mountains. You can see other parts of Manhattan Beach. We do actually currently live in this section. So I will turn this camera around and share with you the Mira Costa section. And as you can see here, a lot of sales going on. These also tend to have some of the larger lots, which is really nice for the area. This is broken down into a few areas. So there's a little section right here that a lot of people don't realize, but it's very similar to the hill section. And you can have some really killer views from here. These lots are huge. That said, you do have a number, over here by the water tower. You can have great views. It's all very hilly right here. Let me see if I get a little terrain on this. There we go. As you can see, hills going, you drop down here, you go up, you come back down. It's generally flat back here, which is this is one of the cheapest sections of Manhattan Beach. Not cheap by any measure, by the way. Cheap in Manhattan Beach is expensive everywhere else. But that said, when you're over here by the high school, when you're over here on this hilly section, these homes sell at a premium because of their topography. And when you're right in here, there's very little traffic. Now, keep in mind, there are a number of schools around here, so you will get that morning school traffic. That's a given, but that's a good thing. That's why people move to Manhattan Beach, is to enjoy the great public schools. Let's take a look at some of the property values in this area. So the highest sale is almost $12 million. It's one of the highest sales registered in all of Manhattan Beach this year. I actually drive by this house all the time. On my way home, we recently moved over by 2nd Street and Aviation. So we are in the cheapest section of Manhattan Beach. Not cheap by any measure. But this house is absolutely gorgeous. It is on a 15,000 square foot lot and just has this really nice backyard. Modern. I'm a huge fan of homes like this. It did take them, I want to say they were like 2 to 3 years in construction on this home. I was starting to wonder if it was ever going to get finished. But when you're building a masterpiece, sometimes it takes time and patience. And just a number of these extra large lots are in this section. Once you get outside of the section, they typically drop to like 7,500 square feet or 6,000 square feet. That said, you do occasionally get these really big, see, as I said, so huge drop off. But that said, these large lots are in high demand because you can have pools, backyards, built-in barbecues, all kinds of different things. Basketball court, tennis court, pickleball court, which is really big right now. Now, this area is serviced by Penny Camp Elementary School. Penny Camp is, every school in Manhattan Beach is a great school in Manhattan Beach. And we will actually come over here. There's some really good restaurants. So we have fallen in love with the burgers at Hangar Inn, especially during the week. They have a special on the burgers. I highly recommend it. They fry their own potato chips. We love the Garden Thai restaurant because it's right by our house. But we are particularly fans of their papaya salad. We are big Thai eaters here at the house. But that said, the best breakfast burrito, in my opinion, in all of Los Angeles, and I've had a lot of breakfast burritos, is Amigos Tacos by Mira Costa High School. It's on Artesia and Prospect. There are some great pizza places in the area, and then one of the low-key breakfast spots is Tomboy's. You can go and stop in for soft serve ice cream, milkshakes. It's a more traditional burger place. It's by Polywalk Park in the middle school, but it is technically on the Mira Costa side of the street. And that, my friend, is your walkthrough today of Manhattan Beach. Once again, hit the subscribe button, turn on your notifications so that you're the first to see these videos when we publish them. We look forward to helping you learn more about these communities And if you have any questions, comment below. We will get back to you with answers to those questions, or we'll point you in the right direction, but most likely we'll get you the answers.